What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Business Choreography Podcast. Lexi Rafael and Michael Johnson in the house. And today we are talking about business choreography and what it is. So let's cue the theme song and then we'll jump into the episode.
Listen, there's a lot to learn when growing and scaling your business.
That's why we created the Business Choreography Podcast, where we talk about choreographing your marketing, operations, and sales into dynamic systems that increase your revenue and your impact.
We'll explore solid business principles and discuss all things that make businesses dance to success with clarity.
We'll help you figure out where the holes are in your business and what you can do to fix them. Think of us as your official business choreographers, aka your insider growth strategists.
Remember, your choreography matters. Welcome to the Business Choreography Podcast. What's up, everybody? We're excited that you're here. Michael Johnson, Lexi Rafael.
Oh, we're doing intros twice today.
I love it. I was excited.
Love it.
Well, I didn't get to talk on the intro, so
yes,
you had that one on.
Okay, that's true. That's true.
All right. Today we're talking about what is business choreography. So many times we get asked that on our journey, right? What is this choreography thing? And for most people, they understand what it is when it comes to dance. Yeah. But choreography is all over the place, and it's especially in business. And so we wanted to tell you what our definition was and kind of go through a little bit about what business choreography is as a whole and make sure you're up to speed on what it's all about.
For sure. We got some notes over here on this screen. If you're watching the video, if you're listening, you can't tell. But if you're watching the video, then you can see that we're reading some stuff. So that's what's happening.
Gotta have your notes.
Gotta have the notes. All right, tell them the definition.
All right, this is our definition. We like this one a lot for business choreography. It's the art of designing and composing sequences of movement through planning and arranging the marketing, operations, and sales that make up the heart and soul of each business.
Yeah, for sure. So where did this come from? We've got to go into this a little bit, and we're both dancers, different eras.
Former professional ballroom dancers. Mine was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Hers was
he was my coach, actually. And so we've been doing dance choreography for ages, and so we have that background. And sorry, there's something in my throat. Okay, so we have that background. And one day I was driving home to see my family, and I was listening to some Bill Glazer. If you guys don't know Bill Glazer, you should look him up. Really, really fabulous old school marketer. And I had just purchased one of his programs, and so I had a whole bunch of interviews that he had done. And so I dug in, and I was listening to a lecture by Russell Brunson, actually, and he was talking about Bill Glazer. And he started talking about choreography. And I remember in that moment, and he was talking about choreography specifically with, planning events and making sure that you have all of the choreography for your business planned out and all of the specific steps for sequences. Like if you're doing email sequences, you should have all of these things planned out and it should be choreographed. It's not just like, okay, I'm going to do this thing. It's like very specific things that you're doing. And so I'm driving, and he starts talking about this and how Bill Glazer told him that he had to have choreography in his stuff. And I was blown away because of the dance background, right? Like we have the dance background. And so I hear this and I'm like, oh my goodness, like this is what I've got to do for people. And so I call Michael in that moment. It's like, you got to listen to this. You got to listen to this piece, and told him about it. And that's when choreography was born. And that's when it started out as marketing choreography. Now we're doing business choreography. And that's when it was born in that moment.
It's interesting, getting to hear both sides of the story.
Yeah, I know. What's your side?
I got the call from her, and she's like, I just heard this amazing interview, and they were talking about choreography, and that's what we have to do for people. That's what we can do. And it hit home for me about as strong as it did for her, because I realized in that moment that choreography was needed. It was missing. And in so many instances, it's just not there in business. It's not there for people's marketing, their sales, their operations. And people are running a single strategy, a single tactic, a single idea that they have. And so many people just didn't have choreographers. And it occurred to me that, you know, in dance, we would hire professionals. I was a pro, but I hired other pros to come in and see my strengths. I wanted them to see what weaknesses I had, and I wanted them to choreograph something that was special for me, utilizing my strengths, utilizing the absence of my weaknesses, right? We didn't want them to put things in that I couldn't do, that didn't make sense. And so we would hire these pros. They'd come in, and we were pros just like them, but they'd hire us to come in and they would do the choreography.
Yeah. And so they'd put together the steps and the figures, like, because there's all these individual steps, right? You can take one step and that's a movement. And then you start combining them and you're starting to create sequences, right? And so they come in and they put that together in something that's like a minute and a half long, typically. Sometimes it's longer. Sometimes it's a longer routine that you're putting together. Sure. And depending on the level of dancer, like it's either more simplistic or it's more complicated. And so, like you were saying, like that's such a necessary thing in business that we found needed to be there.
Yeah, it's huge. And it doesn't matter what level you're at. And that's the part that I think is really cool. Like, as pros, we were hiring people to come in and work on us as pros. So there was no, maybe, I don't know if pride is the right word, but there was no there was no element of, oh, I'm a pro, so I can't have another choreographer come in and do my stuff. It was actually very welcomed and invited. And so we would do that all the time. Well, in business, it's needed as well, right? That's why we call ourselves choreographers, AKA growth strategists. We help you grow and scale, and we do it by utilizing the power of choreography. That quote, I think you found it, and you're going to read it for us today.
Yeah, so this was all part of that original story with Bill Glazer, and this is what he said.
Oh,
not Bill. Russell. Sorry, this is what Russell said, and it was at the conference with.
This
Bill.
Is the short version.
Yeah, this is the short version. It all comes down to this marketing, to choreographing every single thing you guys are doing inside your business. So I want you thinking more about that. It's not just like you have a campaign, you throw at it and you hope for the best. Everything's choreographed. What am I doing? How am I doing it? How am I going to get somebody to show up and then pay attention and then actually do the things we need them to do?
This is huge.
It's so important. Huge. And this was the moment, right? That we went into it and went, we've got to dig into that. And we've got to become the choreographers for people, because that's not happening in business. People are not doing choreography. They're doing steps and figures. Sometimes figures. The figures is when the steps are combined, but it's not a whole choreographed thing together. And so we wanted to become that.
Now, just a little bit about why we think we could be choreographers. Well, in our world and in the dancing, you know, as we entered into that space, we looked at it and we went, gosh, we are so good at taking core principles and, as she just said, combining them into steps or figures. A lot of people confuse those two and they mix them. You've got a step, which is literally 1 foot forward, and you've got a figure, which is a combination of your feet going forward, sideways, backwards. And then you've got those figures combined into a greater whole. And once you have a dance, now you have that dance that's part of a show, part of a story. And we have been doing that for years. We grew up doing it. We grew up doing it while we were being entrepreneurs.
Right.
It was part of what we did. It was how we learned. And when we go in and learn stuff about business, when we go and learn more stuff, we usually look at the components and the pieces and the parts, and we go, how can that all be put together in the best possible framework for you as a business owner? And so that is kind of the idea with choreography. We wanted to dig in a little bit more and talk a bit about what each type of choreography that we could do. Now, we could get into the weeds on this, but we're going to keep it somewhat on the top. So we're going to talk a little bit about marketing choreography, operations choreography, and we're going to talk a little bit about sales choreography. So why don't we start with marketing choreography, right? It's all about the message, the product, the flow of a customer's journey. There's so much in the marketing numbers and about how the marketing team, if you have a team, maybe
maybe you're one
maybe
one
you're
man
still in
show.
that space and you're thinking about the marketing. It's all about how those concepts and ideas flow together. It's about how things are passed off from one person to the next, how your marketing talks to all of your operations in your business. It's about how your marketing talks to your salespeople and how those things connect. But your marketing choreography is a beautiful piece of art. And if you talk to somebody that is just a marketer, it is an art. It is an art what they create, and it's a beautiful sight to behold when you see a great piece of marketing that does its job right. And remember, marketing includes a lot of things. It includes the advertising and the acquisition of a customer. It includes how you send messages to that customer and retain them over time. It includes
the branding that's happening.
The branding that's in there, absolutely. It even includes the sales message that your salespeople are going to have to deliver. We have to stay on point and utilizing the choreography.
And you want that to be all choreographed, right? As you're looking at it from when somebody sees you to the point that the sale happens, you want all of that to be a very systematic, choreographed piece. You don't want it to be these random things, because then the marketing and the sales message could be completely disconnected, right? If you don't have flow between the two things that are happening.
This is a big deal.
Yeah.
Because so many times when we go into businesses, and you have to ask yourself about your business.
Right.
So many times when we go into a business and we look at what they're doing, it's almost amazing to me that there are things that are completely disjointed and disconnected. Now, having owned a number of businesses, each of us on our journey, we know why that happens. Right? It's because you kind of patchwork things together as you build. You build it and it's like, oh my gosh, we're having a growth spurt. We just need this. I need a salesperson. I need somebody to do graphic design. I need a new developer. I need, whatever it is you need. And you just sort of...
And you may not have the processes in place to teach them. And so you're just starting to build it as they come in. But then you get something that isn't quite what you want it to be. And there's no flow in it. Right.
A lot of businesses hit that wall, right? And you might be at that space too. We've seen it, experienced it. When you hit that wall and you're thinking, gosh, everything's going okay. I'm earning money. Things are going right, but it doesn't seem like we're growing. I'm not sure why. What are my numbers? I can't quite figure it out. What should I be focusing on? How should I move forward? And the choreography that can be done in your business can actually take away that patchwork element of your business.
Right.
And it starts with the marketing.
Right.
So if we jump into operations choreography, it's all about creating an internal machine, right? And I say internal because it includes your team. It includes you if you're still part of the system, right? Sometimes maybe you're ready to get out of the system, and it's about making sure that we can remove you from that machine and it still operate in the same way. A lot of you don't have that ability, but you've got to figure out how to remove yourself. Otherwise, it's not a sellable, growable machine, right? So over and over, we got to use the resources that we have available to us and choreograph those things together. How people communicate in the company, how the culture is being served to your team, and how they represent you as a team. This is a big deal, right? Your marketing, your sales, all of that has to be clear to the operations of your business and the system that you are running in order for you to be able to run at the most efficient, in the most efficient way possible.
I love talking about it like this: how you pass the baton from one department to the next department to increase the productivity and efficiency happening behind the scenes that allows the front-facing things and fulfillment in your business to look flawless. So that's just another way to talk about that choreography, and specifically the operations choreography.
Absolutely. Last up, we have sales choreography. Why don't you tell them a little bit about sales choreography?
So I have a couple of different ways that I love to talk about this, and that Michael and I love to talk about this. And the first one is how you pass the baton from the lead to the sell, right? And I love the baton idea because I used to run track.
She was fast.
I was fast. And so I love that idea because that transition when you are running a relay has to be so smooth, or things are going to happen. Your time is going to go down. Someone's going to drop it. You're going to be disqualified. So I love to talk about it from the baton perspective. So that's one way that we can talk about sales choreography. The other way is the adding and organizing of products to increase the value per customer, and the specific way the handoff is choreographed between the types of products. So when you're looking at sales choreography, it's all of the different products that you have in your business and the choreography of your actual products, right? And how they're getting from product to product. And so somebody comes in and they may buy this thing, right? Maybe it's $100. And then what are you going to have them buy next? And what are you going to have them buy next after that? And looking at all of those things, that's going to be your sales choreography. And that's one way to look at the sales choreography. You also can look at it from the perspective of what is the actual sale looking like? What is that actual process? Do you have a salesperson? Do you have a sales letter? What is the flow of that sales process? And so there's a couple of different ways that you can think about the sales choreography, but the important part is that it is actually choreographed and it is not just this random thing that is happening. You know exactly what's happening as you're taking that person through the sales process.
You might even have a setter.
Maybe you have a setter.
Maybe a setter, a teacher, closer, right?
Yep.
That would be the most that is typically had, right? You might have 3 levels. You might only have 2 levels or 1, right? If your salesperson's doing the whole process. But if you have a setter moving to a teacher guide that moves to a salesperson another salesperson that's a closer, you've got to be able to choreograph that seamlessly. It's got to look good. It's got to feel good to your client, to your customer that is considering purchasing from you. So all of that takes great choreography and it needs to be well thought out. And so these are some of the ways that we love to talk about choreography.
And there's more ways.
Oh my gosh, there's so many ways.
There's so many ways, and we could dig into each of those, and we will, right?
Absolutely.
As we go throughout this podcast, we'll be digging into each type of choreography, continuing to give you more concepts because there's just so much that goes into it.
Absolutely. We hope you join us on your journey to understand choreography a little bit better and make sure that it's implemented into your business and into what you're doing. And we're excited to be able to share with you the knowledge that we've gained through the years and help you get to that next place in your growth and your scaling and your progression, whether it's that you're trying to reach that next $1 million goal or whether it's you're trying to figure out how to set yourself up to exit the business. It doesn't make a difference. Choreography is a necessary element, and we can pretty much guarantee you that if you are running a business, you have a problem somewhere in your business that has to do with choreography and what needs to be fixed there. So we encourage you to kind of keep your eyes open and start looking for it. And of course, join us on the upcoming episodes to learn more about how it is that you can influence your business in the most positive way, increase your revenue, create growth, scale like none other, right? Because for goodness sakes, right? You got to make some money and you got to learn to give back and you got to create impact in the world. And that's what we're here to help you do. So we appreciate you so much for joining us on today's episode. And did you have anything you wanted to close with?
Thanks for being here.
Thanks for being here.
We'll see you on the next episode.
Peace out.
The choreography your business is running can determine whether you can grow and scale to the next level.
It's so easy just to take business day by day, but that can leave you putting out fires and keep you from growing.
Find out how the choreography for your marketing, operations, and sales can raise your revenue and create more impact.
Schedule a growth strategy analysis call with us today.
Go to bizchoreo.com to book your time.